G'day. Last week I was at the Built World's AI ML conference in Austin, Texas. Now, both of those industries are currently booming, so it was a very, very interesting conference. We had people from all around the world come in to share their insights, also some startups and what they're doing in the field. It was really fascinating. I'd like to share some of the highlights with you right now. Now, one of the CEOs that was presenting was the CEO of Trunk Tools. Now, Trunk Tools essentially creates an AI way of extracting data out of the thousands of documents that currently exist in buildings of today. And they do it in a very simple way. You can simply send a text, a question, it'll come back with the answer based on the data that's in that archive, and does it through AI. Very powerful tool being embraced, and the company's doing really well. Now, she made the point that her own people were not using AI enough, which was really surprising to me because they are what she calls an AI native company. So they are built and they exist because of AI. But she couldn't get her people to use AI enough, and she kept asking and asking. In the end, she just said, "You have to send me an email every week saying how much you used AI. If you don't do that, I'm going to dismiss you. I'm going to let you go." Now, this happened, and 2 months later, people were using it to the extent that she had orders of magnitude of productivity. One of the pieces of work that they wanted to get done would normally have taken weeks, was done in hours. So she was able to transform her own organization, which is an AI native company, by insisting that people use AI more. And I thought that was a real eye-opener for me. Now, what is a BIM? A BIM is a building information model. It's a 3D model of a building. And this idea has been around since the 70s. And it's taken a long time to really get adoption. And I was wondering why. I mean, surely CAD tools are part of many other industries, and certainly in consumer electronics and building parts, for the world that rely on tooling. It's there, and it's central to the design process, but it's never really caught on in the construction industry until really most recently. Like, I think they're saying 2010 was when it really has been rolled out, but it's still not really well used. I found out that most drawings for buildings are not based on the source truth of the building information model. They're actually the source of truth, or the ground truth. It's actually the 2D drawings. And so I asked around some of those people that are in this field why that is the case. And you naturally assume it's because that's the way it's always been done. It's always been done on 2D drawings. But there's another very important reason, and that is because the 2D drawings are what get submitted for approval. And they are the ones that are tweaked for approval and ultimately signed off. So they now become the source of truth. Now, the BIM was created. The BIM was created to create the 2D drawings, but then the source of truth becomes the 2D drawings. And we actually witnessed this with a company we were talking to throughout the year, that they weren't using the BIM. The BIM was actually inaccurate. So what does that all mean? I mean, if we've got the 2D drawings there, surely AI can help us with the BIM. Well, actually, it looks like the BIM is actually going to have its day. In fact, they're going beyond the BIM, and they're saying, well, if the source of truth is the 2D drawings, why don't we use the source of truth, which is the 2D drawings, with AI as the way forward? So everything now is built back around the 2D drawings, which was a bit of an eye-opener for me too. I wasn't expecting that. Now, I don't think the BIM is going to go completely, but I think its role is going to change. It's going to be more about using the digital tools to create the building information model, then the 2D drawings, then the AI comes in and helps with the execution of the project from that point onwards. That's my take. There's certainly people working on that. There's even startups that are building themselves around that idea. So we'll see where this goes. And then there's the data center boom. Well, data centers are what house all our data in the cloud, but they're also where we have the processing power that does all the AI computation for us. When we send a request through ChatGPT or an LLM, then what happens in the background is the processing, and the processing delivers a result. And it's in those data centers where all that work's being done. And this is an incredible growth. It's happening all around the world. Here in the United States, I think there's a big data center hub in Virginia. There's a lot happening in the Middle East. And interestingly, in India as well, they said that there's going to be 3 times as many data centers by 2030 in India. So a massive growth in data centers. And of course, that was relevant to the construction industry and to AI. Now, I asked the panel what is typically the cause of delays in building data centers, and I think we can probably infer construction as well. And their answer was three factors. Three factors drive the timeline. It's what they call MEP, which stands for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So that's all the bits and pieces inside the building, which takes a long time because a lot of coordination needs to happen between trades, and that's an area of what drives the timeline. The other one was perhaps the lack of standardization. So if they can standardize blocks of buildings and keep them all the same, then they can really get the speed up. It's when things are happening bespoke or things are different and there's variations, that's when things become slow and things get slowed down. And the third one, which was what I was hoping they would say, and they did, and that is that there's many, many small delays, not just one big delay, but many, many small delays. And of course, I was interested in that because Steeli, a product that I'm working on, helps to improve that by making very, very small gains, maybe a few % on every single crane lift that over time builds up to making the job much more efficient. Now, was there need for some breakthroughs? Yes, well, one area was in AI vision, which is, of course, one area that very interested in here at Skillion. They believe that we are a long way from having an AI vision system which determines the real world. Now we know this too to be true. We can create a model which can give you with 90% confidence that it sees a car and 95% confidence that it's a person. But we really want 100% confidence on those things. And we also want to know that it can look at everything in the field, right? So when you're on a construction site, there's people, there's helmets, there's beams of different sizes and shapes and pieces of equipment and tools. And there's literally hundreds or if not thousands and thousands of different things. And the AI vision systems are not able to classify all of those different objects. So it was said that it was a very important growth area for the adoption of vision systems and AI on construction sites. We had the keynote speech by a very educated professor from Yale University who talked about his view on AI, where it's going. It was fascinating. He actually said that he thinks AGI, or artificial general intelligence, is a misnomer. It's not something that's going to exist, certainly not in the short term. He thinks it's overhyped and doesn't even like the term. He said that the main reason for that is because AI, the way it's built now, is built around neural networks and it's about learning patterns. It doesn't have any sense about the real world. It doesn't have any understanding of physics. There's no grounding in the truth of the real world. It's all just about pattern recognition, and it's all trained on information which is available on the internet. And that's only going to get us so far. He believes the next big breakthrough needs to be in some kind of physics engine or some kind of rational basis for the interpretation of the world, and that needs to be coupled with AI. He actually didn't say that it would be part of AI. He didn't say it would be separate to it, but I understood it would be separate to it, and a completely different form of technology which supplements AI to take us to the next level. One of the other important themes is how teams are working with AI. I think when we all use AI, the LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, it's us as individuals interacting on a personal level. But what about when you have teams? How do you work with teams with AI? It's all very much this personal interaction through chatbots. Well, that was her specialty, and she was talking about how workflows are really important. It's how AI works with the workflow and supplements the workflow, and that was her expertise. And I think that's a really important theme for every business. If we're going to transform like we did when we moved from the internet or pre-internet to internet, now it's like pre-AI to AI. It's how we change the workflows around teams to make our organizations more successful. We had a presentation by a CEO that was talking about how drones are being used to scan job sites. Drones would fly over, take imagery that would be downloaded on a daily basis, and then reports are generated about the progress of the site, about things that are happening on the site, using AI to analyze all that video. We heard from an investor panel that was talking about the construction industry and AI, and one of the comments that resonated with me or that stood out to me was that investors don't invest in things. They invest in the AI era. They invest in trends and they back the trend. And AI is certainly the trend. And I think it's definitely the trend for the construction industry at this moment. So a junction of AI and construction is where we're going to see lots of investment. And of course, we talked about construction and how construction is really booming right now, independent of AI. But of course, we've got the data centers going on, but there's an enormous amount of money going into construction right now for a variety of reasons. In the US, it's a $2 trillion business. The rest of the world, it's a $10 trillion business. We talked about how the Middle East is really going ahead, and that Saudi Arabia is one of the ones that's really investing very, very heavily in construction. Riyadh is looking to be a challenger to Dubai, and Dubai used to be just a sea of cranes. I heard a number of 20,000 cranes on any particular day in Riyadh. I'd love to go and see that for myself. The construction is booming and AI is booming. Well, the Built World conference that focused on AI and ML was fascinating to me and really opened my eyes to the boom that is going on in construction and in AI technology. Now, if you want to know more about what Skillion has to offer, please follow the links in the description. If you want to stay up to date on this YouTube channel, please subscribe to our channel. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.